The Acolyte Season 1 has come to an end. However, that ending left a lot of fans with a lot of questions. Like, how did this happen? Or how was Darth Plagueis involved in all of this? Or even, what's going on with Vernestra and Qimir's dark past? And last but certainly not least, how is Master Yoda going to play into all of this? Now, although I will be explaining pretty much all of that, there are a few unanswered questions for a possible second season. But tell me in the comments below if you want a season 2 of this Acolyte series. But let's start with this. Many fans are confused about how this happened. Cause yeah, it's really cool, but there is an explanation behind it. This is called bleeding a kyber crystal. A red lightsaber in Star Wars doesn't exist. At least not one out in the wild. To turn a kyber crystal into the red color that we see almost all Sith Lords use in their lightsabers, they have to bleed them. Now what the does that mean? Well, this was established in Star Wars canon not that long ago, in the Darth Vader comics and the Rise of Kylo Ren comics. To create this red lightsaber color, a Sith has to first find a lightsaber and then take the kyber crystal out, put it in their hand, and meditate. They have to take all their anger and their hate and put it into this kyber crystal, making it bleed and turn into this red color. So how did Osha do this? Now, we've only seen this ever happen in those comics like I mentioned. Both times, Darth Vader and Kylo Ren are meditating, and it seems like it takes a lot of concentration. So how is Osha able to accomplish this? Well, that brings us to the plot of this entire first season. As Master Sol is the one who kills her mother, Master Indara is the one who kills the other witches. So in this Acolyte finale, when Osha learns all of this information, how she's been lied to by not only the Jedi Order, but also her former master for 16 years, she is filled with so much hate and so much anger that she force chokes Master Sol to death. And while being embodied with all that anger and hate, she is holding Master Sol's lightsaber that just so happens to be broken with the kyber crystal sticking out of the side. And as her hand is wrapped around this kyber crystal, she unintentionally bleeds it. So when Sol's body falls to the side and Qimir walks over and she ignites the lightsaber, it goes quickly from a blue to a red. And Osha realizes what she's become. And pretty much by no fault of her own, she has joined the dark side and become an acolyte of the Sith. Hence the title of the show and episode 8, The Acolyte. Many fans, myself included, thought the Acolyte was going to be May, or maybe even at one point Qimir. Nope. Plot twist, it was Osha all along. But that brings us to the very next scene. When the Jedi arrive on Brendok, and Vernestra steps out of the ship, she senses Qimir through the Force. And immediately, Qimir, by the look on his face here, senses her too. And Vernestra's initial response is, you're still alive? Indicating that there is clearly a history between these two characters. Now, at the end of this episode, when Vernestra is talking to May, who has had her mind wiped, she brings up again the connection she has to Qimir, and she describes it as a former pupil of hers who turned evil. So this might be even crazier than anyone ever imagined. Yes, fans were predicting that Vernestra was going to be the former master to Qimir when he was once a Jedi, as this will explain how the prequel trilogy is not retconned by the appearance of Qimir in this Acolyte show. Because although Qimir is a Sith, his connection to Vernestra is what stops the Sith from being revealed, as Vernestra covers up this entire story of this Acolyte Season 1 because her former Padawan is behind it, and he's the one who trained May. So this relationship between Qimir and Vernestra is what actually is going to save the Sith from being revealed. Now, with the mention of Sith, let's talk about the reveal of Darth Plagueis, shall we? Finally, after 19 years, the wait is over, and Darth Plagueis is here in the flesh. After his first mention in Revenge of the Sith, which was released in 2005, when Palpatine graced us with these amazing words,
"Did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?"
But after that, it was pretty much crickets for Darth Plagueis. Yes, he had a lot of stories told in Legends, the biggest one being his own novel, but that's Legends. That's not canon information, and it took 19 years to finally see him in the Acolyte show. And if you're wondering who the hell is Plagueis, he is the former master to Palpatine, but by the time of the prequel trilogy, he's still alive, making him over 100-ish years old. But his species is the Mun, and the Mun can live up to 200 plus years old. So if the Acolyte does get a second season, or even a third or fourth season, we could be seeing Plagueis for quite a long time. And maybe, if we play our cards right, we could get a story with Darth Plagueis and a young Palpatine, which fans have been begging for years. But Plagueis' appearance is really just a tease. It's so cool to see him, but he's the mysterious guy looming in the background. He's Palpatine in The Empire Strikes Back, or he's Snoke in The Force Awakens. He's there, but he's really not. So it wouldn't be until Season 2 until we actually get scenes, full-on scenes with Darth Plagueis where he actually talks, and maybe, just maybe, teaches Qimir and Osha a few things about being a Sith Lord. But this Acolyte series ends with this scene. Vernestra Rwoh walking in on Master Yoda. And although it's really cool to see Yoda in this series, this wasn't just show the Master Yoda because he looks cool. This scene was very important. As Vernestra Rwoh says as she walks in the room, "Sorry to disturb you, Master. We need to talk." Now clearly after these 8 episodes, Vernestra has a lot to inform Yoda on, as she kept this entire murder investigation under her own supervision and didn't even tell the Jedi High Council about it. So she's going to be telling Yoda about what happened with Master Soul, the witches on Brendok, and why all these Jedi have been murdered. But she's also going to tell him about the connection between her and this Qimir character. Because chances are, if Qimir was the former Padawan to Vernestra, then Yoda also knows who he is. Yoda teaches almost all of the younglings when they are at the Jedi Temple, meaning he would at least know on some sort of level who this character is. So this appearance of Yoda at the end of the episode is really cool because it's Yoda, but it's also very important because now Yoda knows the events of this season, and it's possible that he could be also sensing a disturbance in the Force. And like I said earlier, they cannot know that Darth Plagueis is behind all of this because that would retcon the prequel trilogy. As Ki-Adi-Mundi says, the Sith have been extinct for a millennia. The millennia is 1,000 years, and this Acolyte show only takes place 100 years before. But that brings me to a crazy theory. A possibility of this Acolyte show connecting to the High Republic novels that take place 100 years before it. So 200 years before the prequel trilogy. And that theory is that Qimir is a character from these books, a former Padawan that Vernestra had when she was very young, and his name is Imri Cantaos. As in the High Republic novels, he was attacked by the Nile, the space marauder pirates that are the villains of those novels, and he and some others get stranded on a jungle moon named Wevo. And while he's stranded in this jungle, that is when he begins to grow these feelings of hatred and anger, which Jedi are not supposed to have. Eventually, Vernestra Rwoh is the one who saves them off of this jungle moon, but Imri is not the same. He even uses Force Choke at one time, and Vernestra has to stop him. At one point, he even almost gets expelled by the Jedi Order. But when he was on a mission to the Starlight Beacon, it was destroyed, and Vernestra Rwoh assumed that he was dead. And this theory is that Imri Cantaos is not dead. He is very much still alive, and he is Qimir in this Acolyte series. Now this would make sense for many reasons. The first one being, we don't know Qimir's name. We just call him Qimir because in episode 2 and episode 4, his alias was Qimir. However, his official name in the Acolyte series is the Stranger. He doesn't have a Sith name like Darth Sidious or Darth Vader or Darth Plagueis, or maybe he does, we just don't know it yet. And he doesn't have an actual name, unless they just don't want to tell us because it would reveal his past. This theory also makes sense because in this finale, Vernestra is very confused when she senses his presence and questions how he is still alive. But that's just a theory for now, so tell me in the comments below, do you think Qimir is Imri Cantaos? And do you think there will be a second season of this Acolyte? To explain that relationship between Qimir and Vernestra, and to explain Darth Plagueis' role in all of this. Tell me what you think in the comments below, and there's a lot more that you might have missed in this finale, but that's okay, because I break it all down right here.